Countries around the world, social and human rights organizations welcome the agreement between the resistance movement Hamas and Israel for a ceasefire and peace in the Gaza Strip. Venezuela highlighted its role in the international gas scenario at the 14th International Gas Forum underway in the Russian city of St. Petersburg. And in Ecuador, the Indigenous movement marks 18 consecutive days of protest triggered by the increase in the price of diesel, while the government refuses to address the demands. Hello and welcome to From the South. My name is Belén de los Santos, and from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba, we begin with the news. And it's the top news around the world. Countries, social and human rights organizations are welcoming the agreement between the resistance movement Hamas and Israel for a ceasefire and peace in the Gaza Strip. After 3 days of negotiations in Egypt, Israel and Hamas agreed to sign and implement a peace plan for the Gaza Strip, an agreement reached through the mediation of Egypt, Qatar, Turkey, and the United States. In this regard, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas expressed his hopes for a political and permanent solution to end the Israeli occupation and establish a Palestinian state. A meeting to discuss the approval of the ceasefire deal is ongoing at the Israeli Security Cabinet. Precisely in this context, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said that Turkey would participate as a task force to oversee the implementation of a ceasefire deal reached between Israel and Hamas.
After yesterday's agreement, thank God, the signatures were made today. We are very pleased with the agreement to which we actively contributed from the very beginning. We, as Turkey, will hopefully also take part in the task force that will monitor the implementation of the agreement on the ground. We will support reconstruction activities together with the international community to help Gaza rise again. Our goal is to stop the genocide and bring peace to the region as soon as possible.
And in this context, Palestinians in the occupied West Bank also welcomed the ceasefire agreement while remaining cautious over Israel's next steps.
God willing, this agreement will be completed, first and foremost to serve the interests of the people of Gaza and the Palestinian people. Enough killing, enough destruction, enough displacement. God willing, it will be implemented. But based on what we've seen throughout history, we know that the Israelis neither keep promises nor commitments, and we fear that they might break the agreement after they retrieve their prisoners. Either way, no matter the agreement, it is better than the ongoing bloodshed. Whatever its terms, it is still the best available option. The most important thing now is to stop this bloodshed. God willing, the signing today will lead to positive outcomes.
However, while this is going on in the Gaza Strip, regardless of the recent ceasefire announcement, Israeli occupation forces continue to attack the Palestinian people. Reportedly, 3 citizens were killed and several others were injured by Israeli strikes across Khan Yunis in the southern Gaza Strip. Moreover, medical sources reported that 17 Palestinians were also confirmed dead in hospitals across the Gaza Strip since the early hours of Thursday as Israel's bombardment continued. In this context, Palestinian authorities have urged the population to be cautious when moving around and called on them to remain alert until the suspension of military operations is confirmed to avoid further death and injuries. And the United Nations warned on Thursday that the Israeli attacks have devastated Gaza, exacerbating an already severe humanitarian crisis. Furthermore, satellite imagery indicated widespread destruction across the city. UN spokesperson Stefan Dujarric, citing the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, explained that many people are now unable to leave the north due to the insecurity, and described forcibly displaced Palestinians sleeping out in the open and struggling to survive amid severe food and shelter shortages. According to Dujarric, the UN Satellite Center published a preliminary analysis showing that the extent of damage in Gaza City alone encompasses 83% of the structures, about 81,000 housing units that have been damaged. Meanwhile, in terms of the international repercussions in Brazil, social organizations mobilized to denounce the complicity of large corporations in the genocide taking place in the Gaza Strip. During a day of protest in Sao Paulo, the Solidarity Movement for the Palestinian cause gathered in front of the headquarters of Folha de Sao Paulo, one of the city's most important newspapers, to question the media coverage of the genocide. In this scenario, activists condemned the complicity of the media in the historical process of colonization of Palestine, and also denounced how large transnational corporations are benefiting from these genocidal actions. The demonstration also paid tribute to journalists killed in Gaza by Israeli attacks. Meanwhile, on Thursday, the Cuban people mobilized to condemn the massacre that the Zionist Israeli government has been carrying out against Palestine for 2 years. The popular mobilization took place at the José Martí Anti-Imperialist Tribune with the presence of the first secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party and President of the Republic, Miguel Díaz-Canel Bermúdez, and other members of the Political Bureau. At the gathering, Palestinian students denounced the genocide and ethnic cleansing strategy perpetrated by Israeli occupation forces throughout Gaza. In the scenario, Cubans demanded compliance with international agreements on the right of Palestinians to have their own state and the implementation of actions that would bring lasting peace to the Middle East. And in this regard, during the Solidarity event in Havana, the young Palestinian woman Rassam Maleh shared her hope that the world would also understand the meaning of sacrifice and the struggle for freedom of the Palestinian people.
I remember one day when soldiers surrounded my grandmother's house. The entire neighborhood was covered with guns pointed at our house, looking for my uncle. When my grandmother saw what was happening, she came out and, without fear, in the midst of all those soldiers, she shouted with pride, with tears and with strength, "Long live free Palestine! Long live my 5 heroic sons, my revolutionary sons." Since then, I have understood what sacrifice, courage, and love for the land mean. I have learned that there are people willing to lose everything, even their freedom, to defend what is right. My grandmother's words still echo in my ears.
Meanwhile, also in Cuba, women and men from the island and 12 other countries gathered in the Marianao neighborhood in Havana to express their strong solidarity with the Palestinian people. We were there to share the story. International solidarity and ongoing resistance. Those were the key elements that gave life to this festival. Music, poetry, arts and crafts brought together a number of Cuban organizations all ready to express their continued support to the Palestinian cause, as October marks 2 years of genocide in Gaza at the hands of Israel and the complicity of many Western powers.
It is a question of humanity, of knowing right from wrong, and knowing what stance to take, a radical stance in favor of the end of death and also of murder.
Yo creo que hay una sensibilidad en los jóvenes cubanos.
I think there is a sensibility in young Cubans. That's genetic, thanks to this revolution and its internationalism that comes out in the face of injustice and pain of this magnitude. coming from the genocide that the State of Israel is committing against the Palestinian people.
Internationalist activists from 13 countries took part in the event. An idea comes up time and time again, that a wound as deep as the one inflicted against the Palestinians affects us all, can be felt by all, and demands global action to continue fighting for the future of humanity.
First, community is what gives us power, and it also is what nourishes us in hard times. And so we're looking at 2 years of a genocide. We're looking at a lot of destruction and a lot of pain. And so coming together from across the world in community with food, with song, with art, we really realize that there are people around the world who care about this, who are standing up for this, and who are not going to let the genocide go happening as it has been without fighting back.
Here, solidarity takes different forms. From the collective of women who have decided to shave their heads to raise awareness, to the joint reading of poetry that carries the pain and resilience of Gaza halfway across the world. Yassan is a Palestinian doctor trained in Cuba, and he takes the mic to thank the warm embrace of everyone present.
Once again, Cuba chose in practice the revolutionary character, its revolutionary principles. Cuba has always been for justice, close to the Palestinian cause, and from here we need to always raise our voices. Multiply our actions in favor of peace and the sovereignty of our peoples.
The words of Cuban Silvio Rodriguez and Argentine Maria Elena Walsh fill the air in songs that speak of hope and the importance of ongoing fighting against oppression around the world. In their voices, Latin America joins Gaza in its struggle for a free Palestine from this corner of the Marianao neighborhood in Havana. Belén de los Santos for teleSUR English, Havana, Cuba. And now we have a short break coming up. But first, remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. We continue with more information. Russian President Vladimir Putin arrived in Tajikistan on a 3-day visit to attend the Russia-Central Asia Summit and the meeting of the Council of the Heads of State of the Commonwealth of Independent States. The arrival of the Russian president in Dushanbe, where he was received by the Tajik counterpart Emomali Rahmon, reaffirmed the importance of strategic alliances for President Putin in order to consolidate his influence in the region. The agenda includes economic integration, energy security, and defense cooperation, reaffirming that both nations are mutually important for development. He will also have a bilateral meeting with Ilham Aliyev, the president of Azerbaijan, with the aim of preserving regional balance and solving problems through dialogue. In other news, Venezuelan Vice President and current Minister of Hydrocarbons, Delcy Rodriguez, is taking part on the 14th International Gas Forum underway in the Russian city of St. Petersburg. At the event, Rodriguez highlighted the position that Venezuela holds in the international gas scene, possessing the 24% of the planet energy and the largest gas reserves in the American continent. The Venezuelan Vice President also expressed her concern about the increase in energy demand and the outlook for the global gas industry, and highlighted the importance of the gas pipeline construction and the project between Russia and China to provide a better flow of gas and therefore reduce gas export within Europe. Moreover, Rodriguez emphasized on the significance of signing the Strategic Association Treaty between Russia and Venezuela to strengthen bilateral cooperation.
Venezuela is already working on projects with major transnational gas companies to export its first molecule. It is worth noting that Russia has investments in offshore gas in Venezuela, and we would like to end by highlighting the signing of the Strategic Partnership and Cooperation Agreement between Russia and Venezuela, which will allow our strategic energy relationship to consolidate, grow, and project itself into a future of happiness for our peoples.
And in Venezuela, the World Congress in Defense of Mother Earth began with the goal of analyzing and debating environmental issues amidst the climate crisis that is affecting the planet. The meeting, convened by the Ministry of Eco-Socialism, will take place over 2 days and is expected to be attended by more than 250 international delegates, including experts, scientists, and social movements from 62 countries. In this regard, the Environmental Agency highlighted the presence of 2,400 national spokespersons to address social environmental conflicts, the prevailing socio-economic model, pollution, and sustainable economy. Also, in other news, the UNICEF Regional Director for Latin America and the Caribbean, Roberto Benes, warned about the serious humanitarian crisis facing Haitian children. A UNICEF report informed that the number of children forced to flee their homes due to violence in Haiti has doubled. At least 680,000 children have been displaced due to hunger, abuse, and the risk of being recruited by criminal groups. Also, UNICEF highlighted that violence has forced the closure of more than 1,600 institutions in the last school year, affecting 243,400 students and 7,548 teachers. In addition, 84 schools are being used as improvised shelters. And at this moment, we have a second short break coming up. But before, we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There, you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverages, and much more. Follow the page and activate notifications to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break. Don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. We continue with more information. In Ecuador, the Indigenous movement marks 18 consecutive days of protest triggered by the increase in the price of diesel, while the government refuses to address their demands. The government reported that a group of Ecuadorians caused damage to some presidential vehicles during protest led to the arrest of at least 5 civilians. In this scenario, the Confederation of Indigenous Nationalities rejected the accusations made by President Daniel Noboa and also questioned the level of security under his command. In this regard, the indigenous movement pointed out that the state must provide security guarantees for the president without exposing him to the civilian population during tours as a political provocation. The indigenous people stated that they will continue protesting until the government opens a dialogue to address the country's main problems. And on Wednesday, the National Registry of Colombia confirmed that the Historical Pact Coalition's consultation to select the candidate for the presidency of the Republic will be held next Sunday, October 26th. The delegate Registrar for Electoral Affairs, Jaime Hernando Suarez, pointed out that the referendum was requested by several parties, which, within the legal deadline, that is on September 26th, confirmed their intention to hold it and register their candidates. Therefore, the registration is not a consequence of the provisional measure, but rather of the request of the Polo Democrático Alternativo, Unión Patriótica, and Comunista Colombiano parties. And on Wednesday, Argentina's Chamber of Deputies put the brakes on President Javier Milei and by approving an amendment to the regulations governing the emergency decrees. The debate, which lasted about 5 hours, resulted in 140 votes in favor, 80 against, and 17 abstentions. However, Article 3, which proposed a 90-day deadline for dealing with decrees, did not achieve an absolute majority, so the bill will return to the Senate for modifications. The Union for the Homeland, Federal and Counter Democracy Forever, Coherence, the Civil Coalition, and the Left Front voted in favor of the reform. The debate took place amid strong criticism of the constitutionality of the measure and incorporated new requirements. And we go back to Venezuela because the Alberto de Paz y Mateos Theater in Caracas became the venue for a Latin American theater meeting as part of the commemorations of the 40th anniversary of the Teatrela Collective. The program, which will run until October 12th, pays tribute to the diversity of the performing arts in the region and includes a discussion on the state of these arts in Latin America. The celebration will feature the presentation of the play The Gods and the Goodbyes, directed by Costa Balamides, and will include excerpts from the iconic works such as Rabin El-Ashi, Ollantay, and texts by authors, as well as traditional Caribbean songs and poems by renowned writers. And the 2025 Nobel Prize in Literature was awarded to Hungarian author Laszlo Krasznahorkai. On Thursday, the Swedish Academy announced that Krasznahorkai won the prize for his compelling and visionary offer that, in the midst of the apocalyptic terror, reaffirms the power of art. The Hungarian novelist, short story writer, and essayist is the author of books such as Melancholy of Resistance, Satan Tango, and War and War. Krasznahorkai is recognized for his distinctive style, which combines absurd and contemplation.
Why I'm sit here.
And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok as well. For TeleSUR English, my name is Belén de los Santos. Thank you for watching.